What's up, guys? It is Ben, aka Tapwort. Today we are on Tier Maker. We're gonna be making we're gonna be sorting the tiers for all the missions in Halo 1, and I'll also be giving some of my reasoning for what goes where. So first up, we have the Pillar of Autumn. This is a great mission. Definitely one of my favorites in the game. The fact that it is the first mission in all of Halo is pretty cool. You get to meet everyone, Sergeant Johnson's in it, Captain Keyes is in it, Master Chief is obviously in it, Cortana. It takes place on the Pillar of Autumn. It's pretty good. You get to fight the Covenant for the first time and see the size of the ship and take it all in. And I think for that reason, it goes right up into the S tier. Like, this is, I don't know, it's just so iconic. I also want to mention that because some missions are naturally better than others, I want to try and sort them based on gameplay only and story only. So some missions are going to have an edge story-wise, some are going to have an edge gameplay-wise. And if it was up to me, there would be like 3 tiers. It would be like S tier, A tier, B tier. But I do want to try and fill this out, so I'm going to be a little bit more critical about some missions compared to others. So after Pillar of Autumn, we play Halo. Halo, I'm not a huge fan of. Like, I think the fact that it's the first mission that takes place on a Halo ring, but all you do on it is kind of drive your Warthog around, rescuing a couple of Marines, it is kind of lacking. There's a little bit of a sense of adventure, and you do get, into the caves and fight some Covenant there. But for the most part, it kind of plays just like it's a few rounds of firefight. So for that reason, this one I'm going to put in the B tier. Not that I don't like it. I love this game to death. But, being a little more critical, this one I think is happy here. The opening is really cool, the tension of like getting hunted by the Covenant and all that. But once it gets into just fighting a couple of waves of Covenant just to save some Marines, it gets a little bit boring. And you do the exact same thing 3 times in a row. So I really don't know what else to say about that. Next up is Truth and Reconciliation. It's a little hard to place because overall the story is pretty cool. You are stealthy, sniping Covenant, and you get to fight through the caves and stuff, and it's nighttime, which is really cool. And then you board a Covenant ship, which is, kind of awesome, considering especially someone who's maybe playing Halo C for the first time. Like, the Covenant is an alien race. They are humanity's enemy, and you are going onto their turf to free Captain Keyes, which is pretty badass. The only thing I could say negative about this one, not the only thing, but the biggest thing, is that it takes a long time to play through. Par time, for example, on this mission is 20 minutes, and compare that to most other missions on Halo, their par time is like 10 to 15 minutes, and the 20-minute par time is, kind of set up for speed running. When I played through it recently to think up where I was going to rank these missions, this one took me almost 50 minutes. It was like 47 minutes, and that's just too long. And, I died a few times and had to play a few checkpoints over again, but I don't know. This mission, it's one of those where I'm kind of glad it's over when it's over. So yeah, this one I think I'm going to just put it in B tier because I think it's in a similar spot as Halo for me. I like it, but there's definitely other ones that I would rather play. So after that, we get to the Silent Cartographer. This one's good. This one's really good. My initial reaction was that I didn't like it so much because it just takes place on a little island, and you basically do a big old loop around the island when in reality you could just spawn and turn around and save a bunch of time. But I played through this one as intended just because I wanted to really get a big picture of how it feels if you've never played the game before, and like how it stands on its own. So this guy, I didn't think I was gonna like it, but the way it's set up and the way the enemies are spread throughout the level and like all the different environments you kind of go into, because you do go into the interior, it saves itself a little bit. So this one I'm just going to give an A tier. I think that's a good spot for it. It's good, not great, definitely better than these two. So based on that, we'll just keep going. I think that's fair. So after that, you submerge down into Halo, and Assault on the Control Room is next. Assault on the Control Room is cool, but... So, okay. Assault on the Control Room, gut reaction, I wasn't a fan of it. Just because you're running through the same room over and over again, and that's something that Halo CE kind of does too much. You know, I get that it's an older game, it had limitations, I totally get that. Just strictly speaking, gameplay wise though, it's the same room over and over. But what is cool is the amount of weapons and vehicles you get to play with on this one level. Like, literally it has every weapon in the game except for the shotgun on this level. And that includes vehicles, so I'm counting those as weapons. So that's pretty sweet. It's got a Scorpion in it, which I think is the only level that you drive a Scorpion in Halo CE. So that, you know, it's pretty sweet. You also get to really experience the Halo ring for what it is, more so than Halo and more so than Silent Cartographer. It really gives you kind of the whole enchilada. So this one I'm going to put in the A tier. Next up, 343 Guilty Spark. This one is story-wise really cool. Gameplay-wise, I find it kind of boring. I always get lost when I play it. I don't know if that's just me, but I get so lost playing this mission. And you really don't do anything more than just go down an elevator, fight your way out to go back another elevator. And, you know, between A and C, B being the interior, everything is very samey. But the fact that it introduces the Flood, I think, counts for a lot. And for that reason, I'm going to put it at a high B, because story-wise, super important level, but gameplay-wise, just not cutting it. So I think I'll put it just dead center with Halo. I think it's better than Halo, not as good as Truth and Reconciliation, but that's just my opinion. You're welcome to share yours. I'd be happy to hear it. But after that, we get to the library, which I know a lot of people hate. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of it either. I think, you know, you're literally this section here that you're seeing in this photo, that's kind of a third of the mission, because you just keep running through the same corridors over and over and over again. Story-wise, it really doesn't progress much. Like, you are going to grab the index, which is a really key piece of the Halo ring, but in terms of progression through it and like learning a story as you proceed through it, it really doesn't do much. It's basically a lot of running around to do one accomplishment. Like, basically the game has one objective, which is get the index, and it takes like 30 minutes to do that, and that's just no fun. So this one, I think most people can expect. I'm going to put in D tier. One positive I will note is that speedrunning this one is actually really fun. If you don't know about it, look it up. It actually makes the game a lot more bearable. There's some really cool little, you know, things you do. Certain spots you stand to, you know, glitch the game so that Flood don't spawn or Flood don't see you. Some grenade jumps. There's something called a Flood bump, which is really cool. So I do recommend that, but I really can't say much more about it in that case. So after that, we get on to 2 Betrayals. Now, this one I'm going to be a little more critical of. I'm actually going to just put it in C tier right now, and here's why. It's Assault on the Control Room, but you play it in reverse against a bunch of Flood and Covenant, so there's way more enemies than you would see on Assault on the Control Room, which in itself is not that bad, but then also there's an objective where you have to blow up a shield generator, or I guess like EMP a shield generator, and it causes your shields to drop, which turns you just into a little squishy human, and there's Flood everywhere. And I don't know if you know this, but human weapons in the game are good against non-shielded opponents, and Covenant plasma weapons are good against shielded opponents. And the Flood mainly are using human weapons in this. So for me at least, this one is a nightmare, and I really don't have fun playing it. Even like speed running it, Assault on the Control Room is where it's at, speed running it. 2 Betrayals, I could take it or leave it. But after that, we get on to Keys. Keys is an interesting one because it, talking about Halo doing a lot of back and forth. For Keys, you return to Truth and Reconciliation, which is where you go in the 3rd mission of this campaign. And then you're just coming back to it later. It has been bombed out and it's destroyed and the Flood are infesting it. So that's pretty cool. But gameplay wise, it doesn't do much. Story, pretty important. Well, story not so important. Like, it progresses the story in the sense that you're going there to get the implanted data link or whatever out of Key's head, so you can, well, I guess you're not going there to get it out of his head. You're going to get him, and then you end up leaving with just the key. But I don't know. It's forgettable. Definitely not D tier, but I'm going to put it in C. Let me know what you think, but personally, that feels right for me. So to wrap it up, we have the Maw. This is, I'm just going to do this right now. S tier for me at least. Both gameplay and story-wise. Gameplay, it takes you back to the Pillar of Autumn, which is our other S tier level, and I just love the Pillar of Autumn. You get to see the engine room, you get to find the armory. Story-wise, you defeat Guilty Spark to blow up Halo. It's like a huge finale. It has the Warthog run at the end, which I'm not gonna lie, it might be my favorite Warthog run out of the entire franchise. Not really much more I can say. The end where you see Master Chief take his helmet off, Halo 2 was the first game that I ever played in the Halo franchise, but I can just imagine the hype of beating Halo CE like in the early 2000s. After all of that adventure, just knowing there's more coming, that's super cool. So this one, easy S tier. Easy S tier. So down in the description is going to be a link to this tier maker, and I would love for you to make a video and show me what your tiers are. If you think I'm wrong, let me know why. I would love to have a discussion about, the different levels, and because this factors in gameplay and story, I'm sure there's certain aspects of the story that you might value more than I do, or certain aspects of the gameplay that you might value more than I do, and I think that's totally fair, and I'd love to have that discussion. If you make your own video like this, link it to me. I would love to see it. You can either do that down below in the comments, or you can do it on my website, tapwort.tv. And you can also do that here on Twitter, @tapwort. I will get back to you, and I would love to see what you have to say. Other than that, not much I can say. Shout out to my patrons. They are on screen now. And definitely leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this video. I am thinking about doing a similar thing for all the other games, but if you don't care, then there's no point in me making it. So yeah, hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching. This has been Ben, aka Tapwort. Peace.